Hi, welcome to Business Wine and Cheese. I'm Christian and this is Theo. And we're going to have Peter from Delphic today.
Yeah, Delphic Insurance Services.
That's
we
right.
Talk about all things business, a little bit of travel, lots of fun in between, and a lot of chat about Greek and ethnic parents. So stick around.
That's right.
And enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome to Business Wine and Cheese. We have Pete here from Delphic Insurance Services, and obviously Christian as well.
Yeah,
my name's Theo. Welcome, mate.
Thank you very much.
We usually start off by talking about the wine. So I posted something on Instagram earlier this week. We bought a Lucky Dip box from Vino Mofo, and 1 in 100, I think, had a bottle of Grange in it.
Okay.
We didn't get one.
Yeah,
of
we
those.
didn't get one.
But today we're drinking a Grenache Shiraz from Maverick. So cheers.
That's quite nice.
Thanks for
Cheers,
coming.
gents.
Cheers. So mate,
Nice.
Very
it's
good.
quite nice. Tell us a little bit about your origin story, growing up. Not too much about the village in Greece, but
Yeah.
tell
Village
us,
in Greece
you know,
is-
where'd you come from?
It's the true origin story,
Absolutely.
right? That's just no. It's pretty much a boring immigrant story, I guess,
Yeah.
or as boring as they get.
Yep.
But lucky enough to meet some really good guys that I kind of still stay in touch with now, and through high school and Greek school, and went to university with a couple of them as well, and then I just dumped everyone behind and went overseas.
Okay.
So in 2003, I went to Japan.
And you were born here?
Born here,
Okay.
yeah, born here.
Cool.
And then I decided, after uni.
What did you study?
Banking and finance.
Okay.
Yeah, bit of computing as well.
Cool.
Got turned off by programming,
Of course.
so I thought I'd just stick with the banking and finance. And then we finished the degree. Everyone went off and got milk round jobs and stuff, and I was working in Westpac, and something was just missing. And I just thought, you know what, throw the job in and go traveling, go overseas, and decided to go live in Japan for a year,
Nice.
which to my lovely mum scared the bejesus out of her.
Yeah.
My dad, on the other hand, who was worried that I was going to be a little bit too like a good Greek boy, he was like, yeah, go.
Yeah.
Don't let the
Yeah.
door hit you on the arse on the way out. So I lived over there, and it was probably very different to the Japan that most tourists go to today. But it was an eye-opening experience.
Specifically, where did you spend most of your time?
Lived in Tokyo.
Yeah. Nice.
Didn't have a job when I got there.
Did you buy any underwear out of the vending machines?
I was contemplating actually taking it up as a job.
Oh, right. Okay.
For me to be the guy wearing the girls'
I
underwear.
was going
on
to
the
say,
bike
you
to-
wearing the underwear, or okay, not
yeah.
servicing the machines.
Yeah,
okay,
there
very good.
there wasn't a lot going, but the inevitable job that came up was being an English teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
At which point they said to me, you can be an English teacher, conversation teacher. Let's not kind of
Okay.
lower
get
the
too
standard for
deep,
the
yeah.
teachers. Yeah, it's English conversation school, and they said to me, don't talk about sex, don't talk about drugs, and don't talk about the Second World War. So all my lessons were about sex, drugs, and the Second World War. So school loved it because I was the most popular teacher.
Right.
But then the actual corporate part of the school didn't like it much, so I ended up doing business conversation.
Right.
And it was the first time that I saw kind of a completely different way of doing business. We all have these kind of ideas of Japanese people, how they operate, how the kind of back then I think the stereotype was Japanese people get drunk before they trust you.
Yeah.
Which was this kind of big thing in the 80s and 90s that they won't talk business until you've gone out the night before.
Yeah.
The
The formalities.
And it was actually amazing seeing that and understanding the reasoning behind it and stuff. But then also seeing the way that people have this kind of preconceived idea of what someone else is.
Sure.
Which for Japanese people at the time was kind of to their detriment because they weren't open-minded enough to say, okay, well, these guys are about to do X and Y. But that's, the reality is for most of my year in Japan, I was pretty much, I wasn't drinking red wine back then. It wasn't that classy. I was drinking cheap cheap booze and shochu and
Yeah.
all the rest of it.
Nice.
So,
Whatever gets the job done, mate.
whatever gets the job done, yeah.
Yeah.
There used to be this place, BLDY, had unlimited drinks on a Friday afternoon. They were always in the train stations.
Wow.
And you used to go pay like, some nominal amount of money and you have like terrible, this is, Suntory whiskey in 2003 was turpentine.
Yes.
It was nothing like the stuff that we're buying today.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the kind of crap that I had to drink for a year. But it got the job done.
Yeah.
And I came back and then landed a plum job at Macquarie, but I think by that time, Australia felt really small. This is the Melbourne with 2.5 million people in it, not what we have today. And then I just got on the plane and headed over to London, and then continued travelling there. Was probably this, landed, got a job really quickly. Ended up working with this amazing group of people. I think the oldest person in the entire team was about 30 years old.
Yeah, right.
And then the senior manager was this American woman that kind of was like the mother hen for us all.
Right.
So it was truly work hard, play hard. We were living with each other, like in share households. We'd go on holidays together.
Right.
And yeah, really just kind of had this great, early experience in the corporate world. Got a lot of travel in. I think by the time I was 30, we did 72 countries. So just little places here and there. And
When you're
weekends.
based over there, it's
Yeah.
like going to Bendigo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But it was literally kind of like the guys sitting in the office and the girls sitting in the office on a Friday going, what are you guys doing this weekend? Oh, nothing much. Oh, you fancy going to Copenhagen because this concert's on.
Yeah.
And then we'd just be on the internet trying to find, some
Tickets,
kind of place to stay.
Okay.
I remember one New Year's, we're in Rotterdam for New Year's at the Euromast, I think it was. And it was Tiesto and Van Buren were there at the same time. And you're just sitting there going, this is, having grown up with buying CDs and all the rest, to actually be there with these guys. It was a really, really cool time. And we didn't have the restrictions and the costs that you have these days with the travel. It was pretty easy.
What do you
Pretty cheap.
think? We'll get into the business part too, but the travel part, other than I'm assuming sort of opening your eyes to the way different cultures do business, what did you take from those experiences into your professional life, and also when we start to talk about the business?
I think there's probably a really big difference in the way that people view entrepreneurship, say, in Europe as opposed to the US, as opposed to here in Australia.
Yeah.
So I worked for a large multinational insurance company in London, and they were fantastic. They were just kind of like, okay, well, we can see here that these guys are going to be really, really good. We'll give them everything they need, and they're all very entrepreneurial. We'll give them enough rope to nearly hang themselves.
Yep.
We'll put all the policies and procedures in place that we can't, we're not going to lose the house on them, but then let them run.
Let them go,
And it was fantastic because you felt like you were running a business, you're running a portfolio, you're 24 years old, you're running this portfolio in the company, and you're like, cool, I get ownership of this.
Yeah.
You would get pay increases based on how your portfolio went. So it wasn't uncommon to get 2 or 3 pay increases a year,
Right.
which,
Awesome.
you're starting off at a pretty low base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're barely making enough to pay your rent.
Which
when
makes
first
you
start
hungry
off.
as well.
It makes you hungry, keeps you going.
Sure.
And in the US, it's very similar, probably a little bit more cutthroat in the US.
Right.
And the good thing with London is you get to see people that work for your same company from different parts of the world.
Right.
Sure.
There's a lot of people coming through. And then also allows you for traveling to actually go to and see them. So we'd go to New York, we'd go see their offices to speak to them.
Yeah.
And they were similar teams, but not that kind of friendship in the group.
Right.
So they'd work together, they'd be pretty hard-nosed, but they weren't, living together or
More
going on
capitalist
holidays.
vibe.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit. So London was pretty good at the time. And then you fast forward it to working here in Australia, and I actually eventually ended up working for the same company here in Australia.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, in Australia, they kind of just treated people like employees. You got to do it this way.
Yeah.
But the great thing with Australia is that there's very few barriers to kind of exiting a corporate and setting up your own thing.
Right.
While in the UK, and can't speak for the US, but at least in my industry in the UK, you'd be stonewalled oh, I want to go do something and I want to do it my way, they'll be like, oh, no one's going to want to deal with you.
Yeah.
No one's going to engage.
Is it a
with
red
you.
tape thing or?
It's a red tape
ownership
thing.
thing?
It's also a protection
Yeah,
thing.
right. Okay.
They don't. It's a very traditional market.
of course.
In my space over there.
Yep.
They're hesitant to change.
Yeah.
Same things exist here, but it's still, you can go out there and just do it your own way. You want to implement technology in your business,
Right.
go ahead and do it.
Cool.
Not guarantee you're going to be profitable doing it, but go ahead and do it. No one's going to stop you. While over there, they're like, oh, no, you need to send everything via paper.
Yep.
So you made a bit of a joke before about when we were talking about the sort of topics that we wanted to cover around, what brought on the idea for the business. I mean,
the idea for the business, I like. There's a personal reason which I'm probably going to not talk about.
okay. Cool.
But if we look at the reason why I set up the business the way that I set it up was, I come from a family of small business owners. My parents are small business owners. My brother, even my siblings in Greece, back in the mother country, they're all got their own businesses.
Entrepreneurial,
It's a very entrepreneurial family.
Cool.
And my background working for these large insurance companies, I always dealt with corporate companies.
Sure. And maybe slip in, because I mentioned the name of your business, but what the business does as well.
Delphic Insurance Services, which is the business that I created 3 years ago, was kind of based on a model that was more corporate, but for the SME.
Okay.
Cool. Insurance version of what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's this unfortunate thing where in any kind of industry, they always say the cream rises to the top, and take something like insurance, which, let's be honest, is hardly the most glamorous thing you could possibly involve yourself in.
Sure.
You go work for a large advisor, you want to get away from SME business, away from commercial as much as you can. You want to be the guy that represents, an ASX 50.
Yeah.
That's the guy that you want to go and have as a client. You get paid bonuses on that, and it's fantastic. But the reality is, I saw as an underwriter, which is my background, which is on the other side as the insurance company, you'd be sitting there and speaking to these customers, these corporate customers. They knew more about what we were talking about than their advisor or even myself.
Right.
And then you go down and you look at the kind of advice that SMEs and commercial clients are getting, and there's a massive, massive gap there.
Yeah.
But the SMEs and the commercial clients, they don't actually have risk management teams and internal boards and all the rest of it. So what we tried to do is just change a little bit. And that's where the kind of idea came from. Well, where's the opportunity in the insurance industry? There's a huge amount of opportunity with InsurTech and stuff like that. But there's also a lot to be done with the soft skills. So when I sat down, I said, okay, well, I'm going to do a business where we get to meet our clients, we get to speak to our clients, we spend time with them.
Yeah.
Again, not trying to make insurance interesting.
Yeah.
It's more about how do you actually, engage with the business owner and say, just so you know, you've got all these things that can potentially happen to you. There's ways you can avoid that bad stuff happening. And then, all right, for the stuff that you can't fix, there's insurance policies.
You're
that can
essentially
work.
solving a problem for people that were closest to, you're exposed most obviously to the people that were closest to you. You saw the challenges they were going through in this area, and you obviously thought, well, if they're going through it, then a lot of the market must be as well.
Yeah. And it's just one of those unfortunate things that as, small business owners, we all are faced with these, you listen to any statistic out there and it's like, 1 in 3 businesses go out of business in the first 2 years or 3 years, or, it's always negative.
Yeah.
And then the scariest thing for me was always that statistic that came out. I think it came out in the first year of me at running the business. Vero, one of the insurers, comes out and says, 90% of the businesses that come out of, 90% of the businesses that have a claim don't exist after a year.
Wow.
And you're just kind of like, that doesn't actually make any sense.
Yeah, that's right. Why are they making a claim? Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's because of things like underinsurance and stuff.
Right,
and again,
right,
it's
right.
kind of like, well, how do you engage with the market?
Yeah.
You go out there and Pete goes on TV and goes, you're underinsured. And
Yeah,
it's like,
scare the shit out of the market. Yeah.
you've just disengaged completely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hit them with their protective barriers.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, you work so hard to build a business up, you get there, and then something that you're relying upon isn't there for you.
Yeah.
So it's really trying to trying to figure out, and sometimes, you know, we end up doing this on the go because there's no you know, everyone goes, oh, you can't do it. There's no money. You can't run a sustainable business by actually providing advice to SMEs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, if we think about that statement, it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like you just can't do it because SMEs are so price focused and they chop and change and this and that. It's like, well, okay, let's deal with each issue individually. And most of the issues that we're talking about, you know, people commoditizing other people's products and stuff, they're the same anywhere. You know, you speak to people that work in like hardware tech, you know, they're wanting to, you know, talk about backups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not sexy.
Yeah.
You know, if you're trying to sell cars, it's probably a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know, so trying to sell technology that's cool, but stuff that's not, you know, that sits in the background, it's always really difficult. Yeah. So it's like, well, what do they do to make that process easier and engage with the client a bit better? So,
So how about the the transition professionally? There's things you don't want to talk about. That's fine, but managing the, you know, I mean, as an example for us, well, we sort of got thrown into it, but you know, we sort of said, you know, something happened that was essentially was a sign to us that you shouldn't be working for anyone, and we had sort of decided a while before that we'd eventually get back into running a business, and Arnold had already started this one. So that was essentially a time in our lives where we said, if this isn't a sign, I don't know what is.
yeah.
And we didn't prepare financially for the decision we didn't know we were about to make, and just went head first, and sort of came out of it alive, not unscathed, but alive on the other side. Did you sort of have the foresight to say, I'm about to do this, this is what this is my plan, or you just said, fuck it, I'm
Were you prepared? Exactly.
you know,
No.
how'd you manage your
I would
transition?
love to sit here and say, yeah, I thought about everything and I was really prepared and I was kind of, you know, had a little kitty there ready to pay for all these bills. No.
Yeah.
No. I'm not too proud to say it. Like, we've built up a really good business in the last 3 years, but I started on my couch with a 4-year-old MacBook Air in my underwear with my dog waiting for the phone to ring.
Yeah.
And that was it. And my missus was paying the rent.
Yeah.
Like, it was just this, like, you know, completely honest situation where I had this idea, but I'd never really planned for it.
Sure.
But the one thing that I have to say, I don't regret it. And yeah, of course, I'd love to have had everything planned out and all the rest of it. But that comment about the spark of knowing.
Yeah.
So I was working in London for nearly 8 years. And with what happened in 2008, 2009, going to 2010, a lot of Australian companies were poaching expats from London to come to Australia.
Yeah, right.
So I was one of them.
Okay.
So I came back.
Sure.
And I resigned after 2 weeks. Because what I loved about London, about that kind of, you know, embracing entrepreneurialism, it wasn't in the company.
Yeah.
But I unfortunately got locked in by the salaries that get paid in Australia.
Right.
And that's great. And I say this, like, I've got a nephew who's, you know, started in his career and is probably, I think, 4 years into his working life out of uni. I say, well, money's great. And, you know, initially money is the reason why we work and all.
Yeah.
But you have to have something a little bit more than that.
Sure.
Sure.
And that always used to bug me in the back of my mind. It was like, yeah, this is really, the work's great.
What am I doing?
Sure. I was more interested in going to lunch than actually doing what I was doing every day.
Yeah.
And I never felt like that before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And before, all I was doing was eating. You know, when I talk about this great time that I had in London, the reality is I was working 20-hour days, sometimes sleeping under my desk.
But it doesn't feel like it
shoveling
because
shit
you love
every
it.
day, but you were just like, bang, I'm doing something.
Yeah.
And you don't get that same feeling. And I think it's not for everyone. I think a lot of people are just coming straight out of uni. They want to get the job with a big 4 bank or whatever it is, some really safe company. They want to take their salary. They want their increase. They want to buy their house, the 2.3 kids. You know, that's their life, and that's what they want in their life. And you know,
well, it's I think it's what they think they want.
Well, let's.
We're going to need a different. We're going to need a different show to talk about that.
I think Maverick might need to come in for. But I think that I never want to come across saying looking that I look down on those people. I think.
Oh no, everyone to their own.
Everyone to their own.
Yeah.
But
look, I was there.
Yeah.
I was one of those people when I started working. You understand? I wanted to work fresh out of IT. I went out.
Grew up in a dictatorship.
It's pretty much.
No, you did.
I did, seriously.
Chile was in
Pinochet,
the dictatorship.
you know what I mean? And the first job that I saw was I want to work for either IBM, Hewlett Packard, or Compaq.
Yeah.
At the time. So what do? I get my resume, I go to Hewlett Packard, IBM, and Compaq, and I want to work for you guys, and eventually HP hired me.
Yeah.
It was a safe job, you know what I mean? I didn't know any better.
No.
I mean,
But I think, and again, probably I'm going to touch on it because I've got a pretty firm belief in this.
Yeah.
I think unis don't do the best for students.
Oh, let's not get started.
Hey.
But let's not. But that kind of transition,
Yeah.
because I'll tell you, I went to uni for 4
Especially if
years.
you're borrowing money to.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Which is what
these
X-Loan
days,
is.
All of us are borrowing money, but
Yeah.
I spent 4 years at uni,
Yeah.
and what I learnt probably in 2 years of travelling trumps the uni.
Without a doubt.
Because by the time I got to my first job, they were
Yeah.
keen to treat, like they didn't care what degree I had.
yeah.
And again, looking at the differences in different countries, in Europe, it's all about just going to uni and getting through uni,
Yeah.
not doing commerce or this or
Yeah.
that. It's just like, so I worked with people that one guy had studied geology, the other guy had studied modern history.
Yeah.
It was all about like, do what interests you.
Yeah.
And I think here we just kind of, the universities want to create these perfect little people that will go fit and work in these large companies and keep that thing going whilst...
I totally agree.
Yeah.
My dad sent me overseas to study sound engineering because he wanted to. He goes, you should study that. I go, okay, I'll study that,
Yeah.
Went there and I was like, I liked it, but I didn't love it, and he wasn't teaching me anything.
Yeah.
I literally went overseas to study it, and I realized that my dad had taught me more at home about sound engineering.
I was waiting to talk about this. So, a massive thing that I love to talk about now, massive influence of mine is Gary Vaynerchuk. And he talks about the undisputed value difference between either getting a loan or, get HEX or whatever it is. But bottom line, it's a loan, right? And whichever way you want to look at it, it's a loan. You're borrowing money. Even though it's favourable terms, you're still borrowing money. You get a loan, you go and waste, in most cases, X amount of years studying something that is usually delivered by people that haven't been in the industry for a long time. Sometimes they might bring people in and make it more practical. Or you go and work for someone that's the top of their game for free, so you're not in debt. You're close to the sun and the best in your industry of choice, and then you can use that leverage to either kick ass in that position and then you get employed by someone that you admire, or you can then go and say, I worked for this person. And like,
I don't have that experience, unfortunately. My dad paid cash money for this thing. My dad paid goes, you're going to school, this is how much I'm paying.
The monetary part is not the thing. Imagine you
I just call my dad and goes, listen, I just wasted a million pesos on this shit.
Yeah, but imagine you went and flew over and moved
Oops.
in with Rick Rubin
Yeah.
and spent a year or two with him learning sound
100%.
engineering or
Yeah.
production.
Yeah.
Where's the upside there?
Yeah.
You definitely want to go with someone that's got a proven record.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. So,
It's always an interesting one, though, Theo.
It
It's
is.
always with anything, you then have to take it back and say, well, does everyone have the opportunity from where they are, where they finish in year 12, say, and they're sitting there looking at the world?
oh, by the way,
They may
I'm
have the
only
drive and
talking
stuff,
about people that want to, if you want to go and be a financial controller, or you want to go and be a lawyer, or obviously a surgeon or a doctor, you have to go to university.
Yeah.
I'm talking about people that feel like they've got an entrepreneurial flair and they want to sort of get an accelerator,
Yeah.
outside of school. But again, it's not for everyone.
I'll
completely get it.
I'd love to have not grown up in a Greek family to understand this ability of not going to university.
Imagine me going to hospital and the surgeon goes, I'm going to take your hernia out. This is a startup for me, I didn't go to school. I'm starting up this
By the
new
way,
business.
thanks for supporting
I
my
know.
startup.
I was
We've
like,
got 2 million.
let me cut you.
You're my first customer.
But I think society pushes the fact that you got to go to uni.
Yeah.
Like, at least back in my day.
So
for
this
me,
is the conversation.
Yeah, like
this
for
is the
me, it was kind of
conversation.
like, you sit there and you go, okay, well, let's go. I'm gonna go, do my own thing.
It's a thing that was done.
Yeah, at 19 years old, people are gonna go, oh, what? He didn't get into uni.
Yeah.
That's why he's gone and done that.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I'm a little bit older than kids coming out today, but these days, I think I said this to a guy that came to the UK years later, and so I had studied finance, and I think he had studied marketing or something. So really traditional jobs, and so this would have been probably about 2006. He's come over, and his then girlfriend, now wife, was a graphic designer, and he's come over to work in the UK. Struggled to find work in marketing and all the rest of it. But his missus, bang, straight away, contracts, was paying, like she was making money. And I remember the conversation, it was kind of like, when we went to school, the best jobs were like, doctor, lawyer, banker. And if you went to a private school, that's basically the only three things you could come out and be. And the Greek family, they're the only, well actually even banker wouldn't, the Greeks don't think it's like doctor or lawyer.
Yeah.
My dad was very disappointed that I didn't go to law school. He still is.
My dad's still asking me if I'm sure that I did a university course. Because it was an entrepreneurship bachelor.
Yeah.
And you only needed like a lower enter score to enter. So he was like, I don't understand, like there's no tutorials. Because it was a different format, right?
Yeah, my dad's calling me to actually help him with a kitchen bench that he's still trying to put in a customer that he's got.
I think with a lot of that kind of, you find yourself looking at it later, and we were probably, in my, I graduated, I finished high school in '97, and back then, the idea of doing IT, as I said, like for me, I did computing because I had an interest in it. But when I got to uni to do it, I was like, I've got no knowledge compared to these guys. While today, it's just much more open, because I never learned how to do anything with a computer at school. I just had a personal interest in how technology was working and evolving. While 5 years later, everything had changed.
Yeah.
But it's just sad that 10, 20 years later now, kids are still coming out of high school going, oh yeah, I'm going to go to university and go get myself a job at X large company, and you're like, that's not your only option. Go live overseas for a year. Go take a gap year. I reckon they should instill gap years in this country.
The conversation is the pressure of people feeling like, well, most of it is their parents a lot of the time got married in their early 20s and started their career, so they feel like their children are a product of them, a reflection of them. And so they push them to very quickly sort their shit out and understand exactly what they want to do from day one.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people are falling over.
Yeah.
So, there's lots of lessons to be learned from that. But along your 3-year journey now within your business, what do you think the biggest sort of hurdle you've had to overcome, without details obviously, but with any lessons that you've sort of, or big sort of takeaways that people that are watching can sort of pick up from?
Oh, there's people watching. Hi there.
Yeah.
At least 2 million people will watch this.
Hi, Mum.
In the first 5 years easily.
I made it on television.
Lawyer that.
Sorry, man.
She's busily trying to find Greek movies, and now she's found me on there. Look, I think, so do we want to talk problems or solutions? What are we talking about?
I think the biggest lesson as a result of the biggest problem that you've overcome.
I won't lie, I think the biggest problem that I ever had was, as much as I had belief in what I was doing, and I was doing it for the right reason, I thought I'd have the right outcome and everything. Again, really traditional industry, and there's just doubters everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's just trying your hardest to just block them out.
Yeah.
You don't feed off that?
No.
Okay.
No. I feed off it in a different way, as far as like, it's because they're not doubting that I can't do it. So it's not that they're doubting me.
They're doubting that it can't be done.
The way that I've got this image of this is the way that it's going to work.
Okay.
Oh no, it can't be done that way.
Yeah.
you know, again, that kind of preconceived idea of what a client wants, which I always love, you know, other people dictating what a client wants. Don't ask the client, you just decide, you know, I know. Because I've been doing the same thing for 20 years, never changed.
No one wants to change
That's
that.
just the way things are done. And it's sometimes difficult when it's a whole heap of negativity to then, what I found helpful was to, instead of blocking it, to actually just let it hit me a little bit. And then start saying, well, why do you think it can't be done?
Because they're playing defense.
Well, call it what you want. I actually look at it and go, well, that's actually my competitor.
That's exactly what I'm referring to. Absolutely.
So
Because if you change it, then they have to lift their game. It's like Uber coming in and wiping out the taxis.
So it's kind of, why can't I do it? Oh, because of that? Yeah, I got that sorted.
Not
Move
also
to the
that, if
next
they
guy.
tell you why it can't be done, it's your way to say, well, this is the reason why it can't be done, let's find a solution to that. So they're telling you what to fix.
They're doing the market reach for me.
Exactly.
And they think that they're being smart about it. But it's when you're, you know, go back to the, hopefully not the image, but when you're starting out and you are on the couch waiting for, you know, you've set everything up and you're waiting for people to start engaging and stuff, that's when it really starts hitting you, that you've kind of built everything and is this right? And I guess that to me really came with a bit of experience, a little bit of arrogance as well, but also then I started surrounding. I think one thing that's really important to do when starting out, and I was, I don't know if I was smart doing this or what, but it's surround yourself with people that aren't necessarily just in your industry.
Totally.
Because sometimes we get a little bit, oh, well, you know, oh, you work in financial services, or you work in insurance, or you work in that, you know, consulting, or whatever it may be, or in tech. At the end of the day, we're dealing with human beings. And I think the way, you know, just surrounding yourself by people that are kind of, you know, like for me to sit there and say, I'm going to build my business surrounded by lawyers and accountants, and, well, that's not really the people that are going to change the way we do things. You got to move to other sections, and the same thing goes where on the flip side, when you start speaking to people that are in a bit, in the tech industry and software and stuff, sometimes they need to have that little bit more of an engagement with the professional services enviurement. So them getting
I totally agree.
Different perspective.
Different perspective.
I totally agree. If you're working in one field, it's good to have another point of view.
Yeah, because it's in a lot of the decisions that we make. I go into the same client that you go and see. So
absolutely.
You know, we're B2B businesses.
Sure.
I'm going to go in there and speak to the CFO or the finance manager or the business owner, whatever it is. So and then you're going in there having the same and having conversations about a different product with the same human being.
And it's the same business.
So you're overcoming that hurdle was by widening your network to give you more angles, more referrals, more word of mouth.
It's just meeting more people.
Awareness.
And I started hitting.
I like it when we get practical things that we can share.
And the big thing was like, again, startup, you don't have a lot of money. Self-funded startup, there's no money. But you go onto Meetup and there's entrepreneur clubs, and granted, there's 400 people all wanting exactly the same thing that you do. But you know what? Just get involved.
Absolutely.
Don't go in there with attitude. You're a small business owner. Don't start. If I said we when I started the business, I'd be talking about me and my dog. Same I. Authenticity is what it's all about. Go out there and just say,
this is what
I'm trying to start a small business. This is the reason why I'm starting it up, or this is my idea. And just be honest about it. And I think people engage with you and are probably more willing to give you a chance when you say that I'm a small guy, I've just started. Rather
Arnold. You're starting. You're getting shit done.
So we'll wrap up a little bit in a little bit. I've got a few rapid fire questions that I want to throw at you, but before we do that, a bit of a selfish question.
Okay.
How's technology helping your business?
Oh, there we go.
Can you please pull up the rapid fire questions on your phone? I realise we're using my phone to film the episode, so you're right. While you're doing it, while
I'm thinking how to answer your question in the most profitable way.
And you don't have to include our services in there because this isn't a sales show.
Look, I think as a small business, I have to look at, I'm at the behest of insurance companies and clients and laws and all this other kind of compliance stuff. But technology for me improves that customer experience. So the same way that a developer kind of really looks at SEX, goes, okay, well, what are we going to be doing? How is the client going to interact with our brand? Well, I have to kind of think about that.
Yeah.
And there's, me saying that I'm going to be really good on my phone isn't really going to, or I'll be pleasant on the phone or write my emails in a nice way.
I had a few questions.
Sorry, keep going.
Isn't going to really help me. So for me, being able to have a platform to be able to start something, and we've worked together. I know you said don't talk about what we've done, but on the back of that, it enables me to start really building this customer experience and be able to give clients access to data that a company my size wouldn't be able to do.
Okay.
And there's a huge amount of technology that exists out there that with speaking to the right people and getting engaged a little bit more with it, you can really improve that experience. You can improve, take the ideas of what large businesses do around cross-selling and upselling and all that, make it seem a little bit
Is that one of
nicer.
the biggest benefits? You
What's
reckon?
that?
The fact that you can take the ideas of all these big businesses and do it yourself with technology now.
So you came to us with a really clear idea of what you wanted your ecosystem to look like. We helped you with Salesforce. We're very open that we're a Salesforce partner on this show. The key parts that we were talking about, you wanted to use it in a particular way because the purchasing history and all the rest of it's on a completely different system was more about what you were saying around making sure you were able to provide a tier A customer service experience, so that people knew exactly what they wanted when they wanted that you were aware of what they wanted when they wanted when they wanted it. You get ahead of it, but also being a small business, as we can empathize with, increasing efficiency so that you can act like a bigger business than you are.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, I am competing against larger companies. I'm competing against companies that have 3, 4, 5 more zeros at the end of their value to my business. Yeah. And for me to sit back and go, oh no, it's all too difficult.
Was that $100 trillion?
Yeah. No, but it's you're dead in the water if you can't offer the same level of service. Not all my clients are SMEs. Not all my clients are even commercial. We have large ASX companies. They have the same expectation coming to us. Yeah, the advice is primo, but it's also, well, how do we engage with your brand? How do you actually do the service? And if you think again, when someone calls us in an emergency, generally something really bad's happened.
Right.
And we do a lot of commercial insurance and stuff like that. So people get sued and they send us, we get involved with these things, which are a little bit more time consuming. But think about the most basic thing. One of our, commercial clients, their daughter's in a car accident. Yeah. And how you react then, it trumps your suits, your promotional material,
Of course.
The way that you talk, any of that kind of stuff that we spend so much time worrying about how great your website is and stuff. Yeah. It's actually how do you deal with a client right then?
Right.
And what happens if that happens at 11 o'clock at night? And I've had a few too many Mavericks. And, I can't pick up the phone.
Yes.
So I have to be there for the client and provide them with a level of service. And that's what technology allows me to do.
Right.
Totally.
And I think that's where every business needs to look at its core. What are we providing? And we try to provide certainty to the client that they're going to actually they'll be able to get through something as horrific as that. But you have to do it block by block, and sometimes it does take a bit of money to spend. Yeah. And as I said, I had this idea that to get Salesforce to where I want it to be, it's going to be a long journey, but it's actually just selecting the right
prioritizing
platform,
exactly,
and then just going through it. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, mate. Love it. So let's go through this. We haven't done this before.
Yeah.
So you're our
guinea pig.
You're our guinea pig. It's going to go for 25 seconds. So a few rapid fire questions. This is going to be a work in progress. If this completely flops, then blame Christian.
Yeah.
So just answer with the first.
It's Maverick time.
Yeah. With the first thing that comes to mind. Mac or PC?
Oh no. Mac.
Good boy.
Good
Outlook
boy.
or Gmail?
Outlook.
Boo. Favorite country you visited?
Spain.
Greece. Favorite band?
Well, it's part of Greece, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. Well, yeah,
Everything's part of Greece.
exactly. It's part of the kingdom. Favorite band?
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Very good. Favorite Out in the Clouds team member?
My man.
I set that one up for failure.
Always be jacketing.
He's pointing at Arnold just for reference. Who you can catch on Arnold Space Station, by the way. Mate, thank you so much. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
I
Thank
knew it would
you.
be fun and I knew you'd bring some value. So thank you very much for coming.
Cheers
in.
for having me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, man.
Awesome. Thanks. If you've watched this far, again, Christian's going to send you $100 like last time. Cheers.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to watch more episodes as they launch. Don't forget to share with your friends and click here to watch more videos.